This is the true story of the nun. The Vatican has kept the severed head of a possessed nun for over 300 years. In 1742, a nun named Josephine Rosenthal appeared mysteriously pregnant. Despite her insistence that she hadn't been with a man, the convent grew suspicious. Tests confirmed that Josephine was still a virgin, and her pregnancy was deemed a divine case. However, tragedy struck when she died giving birth to a baby girl, Maria Rosenthal. Maria was born a hermaphrodite, and her condition led to whispers of demonic origins. Nuns and priests began to torment her, viewing her existence as a curse. The church soon devised a horrific plan to sacrifice Maria at the age of 33, the same age as Jesus, hoping to mask the deed as divine intervention. When Maria learned of the plot, she chose to take her own life. After her death, the priests ordered her head to be severed and embalmed in a box with a cross. But Maria's death didn't bring peace. Soon after, she began appearing in paranormal visions, haunting the very
Real mythical stories. The Curse of Annabelle's Doll. This is the story of a family from Connecticut who bought an old porcelain doll at a flea market. From that moment on, strange things started happening in their home. The doll would often change positions, even though no one touched it. At night, strange rustling sounds could be heard, and in the morning, they found broken dishes. One night, their son Jake woke up feeling a weight on his chest. Opening his eyes, he saw the doll sitting on his bed, its empty eyes staring straight at him. The family hurried to get rid of the doll, throwing it into the landfill. But a week later, the doll mysteriously appeared on their doorstep. They disposed of it again, but the family's story remains part of local urban legends.
This is the true and terrifying story behind the Chucky doll. In 1950, in the town of Salem, United States, a young boy named Daniel lived with his older brother, Lucas. They were inseparable, and Lucas always looked after Daniel, like a true protector. Shortly before his death, Lucas had received a peculiar doll as a gift, large with intense eyes and a strange, almost human smile. The doll was in the car on the day of the tragic accident that took Lucas's life. It was one of the only things that remained undamaged from the crash. Devastated by the loss of his brother, Daniel found solace in that doll, the only object left from that horrible day. He began carrying it everywhere, treating it as a connection to Lucas. But something sinister started to happen. People who provoked or threatened Daniel near the doll mysteriously disappeared. It didn't matter if they were schoolmates or neighbors, they simply vanished without a trace. Rumors quickly spread throughout the town. The doll is alive, some said. Others believed that Lucas in some way was using the doll to protect Daniel even after death. To this day, no one knows what really happened to those who disappeared. But one thing is certain, the story of the doll and the boy continues to haunt the town.
Slenderman is a fictional, internet-born urban legend that emerged in the early 2010s. Described as a tall, faceless, and unnaturally thin figure in a dark suit, Slenderman is known for abducting children and causing mysterious, supernatural occurrences. This eerie character originated on an internet forum and quickly spread through online stories, images, and video games. What sets Slenderman apart is the collaborative and participatory nature of its creation. Many users contributed their own stories and artwork, fostering a sense of shared mythology. However, it's essential to note that Slenderman is purely a product of online folklore and fiction, not rooted in any historical or real-world events. The phenomenon reflects the internet's power to generate and disseminate modern legends and myths through a collective storytelling experience.
This was the real-life Michael Myers. In 1922, a boy named Hugh Janus was born in a U.S. hospital. Due to a mix-up, Hugh was sent home with the wrong family, and his real parents unknowingly took home another child. Tragically, the child who was meant to be with Hugh's parents died in a car accident with the other family. When Hugh's parents learned of the mistake, their grief and anger turned toward Hugh, who they saw as an imposter. They became hostile and abusive, which had a severe impact on Hugh's mental state. On Halloween in 1935, tired of the abuse, Hugh committed a horrifying act. He killed his parents and sister with a kitchen knife. After the crime, he was sent to a psychiatric hospital, but managed to escape 15 years later. Upon escaping, Hugh went on to kill dozens more. This chilling tale is believed to have inspired John Carpenter's Halloween. The character of Michael Myers reflects Stanley Steyer's grim story and his reign of terror. Did you know the disturbing story behind Friday the 13th? This is the true story behind Jason Voorhees. During one summer in 1960, 4 teenagers, 2 girls and 2 boys went camping in the isolated Bodom Lake area. These young people were enjoying themselves at this camp until something tragic happened. On the night of June 5th, 1960, a carpenter stumbled upon the camp and discovered the brutal crime scene. 3 of the campers had lost their lives, but one of them, Niels Gustafsson, was found alive. He had multiple stab wounds and facial fractures. When police arrived, Niels claimed that someone had broken into their tent in the early hours of the morning and attacked them, but Gustafsson was initially ruled out as a suspect. The randomness of the attack meant that the police had little to work with. Strangest of all was Gustafsson's description of the attacker. He claimed to have seen a man dressed in black with glowing red eyes. Of course, this did not help the police in their investigation, and also the evidence that the crime scene was ruined by people casually walking over it. It seemed as if these unfortunate teenagers had encountered their own version of Jason Voorhees. This tragic event would have influenced Victor Miller, the director of Friday the 13th, to create this character in 1980.
This was the real-life Jigsaw, and it's truly horrifying. In 1984, John Spilsbury, a wealthy businessman, vanished without a trace. But when police searched his mansion, they uncovered something far more sinister. His home was filled with sadistic traps, spiked walls, poisoned locks, and floors rigged to collapse into pits of sharpened metal. Investigators found disturbing journals where John described his twisted obsession, testing people's will to survive by forcing them into deadly games. Over the next decade, 5 victims were discovered, each enduring unimaginable horror before their deaths. One man was forced to solve a puzzle while his body slowly burned from the inside. Another woman had to choose between cutting off her own arm or being crushed alive. Every victim was given a brutal choice: endure excruciating pain or die a horrifying death. Police suspected John Spilsbury, but they could never prove it. He was gone, like a ghost. But here's the part that will haunt you. Rumors say he's still out there, hiding in the shadows, setting new traps, watching and waiting for his next victim. Could you survive the real-life Jigsaw's deadly game?
We finally know how Beetlejuice died.
It's showtime.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're breaking down Beetlejuice's origins, as revealed in the Beetlejuice sequel. In the original movie, we found out Beetlejuice had been kicking around for over 600 years, even surviving the Black Plague.
I'm a graduate of the Harvard Business School. I travel quite extensively. I lived through the Black Plague, and I had a pretty good time during that.
Well, we now know that he started off as a grave robber in Italy during the Black Death. That's where he met Dolores. The two got hitched in some rather unholy matrimony. But after a wild wedding night, Dolores poisoned him, hoping to score some immortality. The Juice fought back though, gifting his death cult bride a nasty head wound for the afterlife. What do you think about Beetlejuice's origin story? Was it worth the wait?
Just say it!
What locals did to this man's family was pure evil. This was the real-life Pennywise. In 1954, Victor Lane was a kind clown who performed at the Black Hollow Carnival in a small Ohio town, but Victor's life had always been full of pain. As a child, he lost his family in a mysterious fire that destroyed their home. The townsfolk called it an accident, but Victor overheard men joking about how the freaks got what they deserved. Despite his scars, Victor became a clown to bring happiness to others, but Black Hollow never welcomed him. They called him Creepy Smiley and spread rumors behind his back. One October night, a group of boys at the carnival decided to humiliate Victor. They set his tent on fire during his performance, destroying his props and leaving his face badly burned. The crowd laughed as Victor stumbled into the woods, his costume in tatters. After that night, the town changed. Children began disappearing. Parents would find red balloons tied to their doors or balloon animals on their porches. The mayor's son vanished after a balloon was tied to his mailbox. Some claimed they saw Victor's shadow in the woods, his smeared makeup and scarred face visible under his tattered mask. A search party found a shack deep in the forest with old carnival props, burned family photos, and a mirror etched with the words, "Who's laughing now?" But Victor was gone. Now, every October, red balloons appear around Black Hollow. Locals say it's a warning. Victor hasn't forgotten, and the clown of Black Hollow always returns. And every year, someone disappears. This is the true story of Freddy Krueger. Frederick Charles Krueger was born in the city of Springwood, Ohio in 1942, product of an abuse. His mother, Amanda Krueger, was a nun who worked in an old psychiatric hospital. On Christmas Day in 1941, the hospital was closed to celebrate the holidays, but they did not realize that Amanda had been locked up with hundreds of maniacs. She was abused by a group of patients, resulting in a pregnancy. A few months later, Frederick was born, who was given up for adoption. A man named Edward Underwood adopted him. This man was an alcoholic and abusive person who marked Freddy's childhood by torturing him. When Freddy turned 16, he attacked him using a knife. From that moment on, he grew up and tried to have a normal life, having a wife and a daughter. But the traumas of the past tormented him. The thirst for revenge and the satisfaction of taking lives began to run through Freddy's veins, and he began to take revenge on the young people of Springwood, ending hundreds of lives. Until one day, his wife found out about Freddy's second life. Upon seeing this, Freddy took his wife's life in front of their daughter. The people of Springwood found out and went looking for Freddy, ending his life after burning his house.